All right, so what you want to do is turn to the big gap portion on the diction section of your pink handout. Look, a huge gap there. All right. So you're going to take notes there unless, of course, two things are true. One, you just really like taking notes on a piece of paper and it makes you happy. If so, you can go ahead and take one out, but these are not graded in that manner. They're graded as annotation, not as Cornell notes. Or two, you have Avid, and you need to get some notes in this week so that Franco's not mad at you. If you're in one of those two boats, you can go ahead and take regular people notes. If not, that big chunky spot on page 9 is fine, okay? All right, trying to help my Avid people out. This PowerPoint is already posted, so much of the information here is not the most important thing you're going to get. I'm going to post this video for those of you at I Was Absent Today land. It's the pink handout. For those of you in I Was Absent land, this PowerPoint is posted. You're going to have trouble reading it because video. Next. Let's look at our solar board so we can actually see what we're working on today. We can look at our objectives. You could just scroll down. It's the O, otherwise known as Green Lantern ring. Okay. We're going to be working on analyzing diction and syntax rhetorically. We have moved on from our question 3, which is argument without given evidence. So the evidence all comes from your brain. We've moved on from that to rhetorical analysis, question 2. So our learning target is to learn to do rhetorical analysis, learn to rhetorically analyze, learn to write a question 2, which means you'll finally have evidence again. You can write quotes, which I know you guys would rather do than come up with things from your brain. This is the part where you start writing. I promised you I would give you different types of lectures. Some where I just talk, some where I talk and write on the board, and some where I use PowerPoint. Because you will get all types of professors and teachers in your life, so I want you to learn how to take all types of notes. So, for rhetorical analysis, you are not concerned with what the author says. You are not concerned with what the author says. You are concerned with how the author says it and why the author says it. Once again, you're not concerned with the what. What is summary? We hate summary. We are concerned with the why it was said and how it was said. Or even why was it said that way. But we are not concerned with what was said. We don't care. For example, someone could say to you, "Oh, you're so smart." Or, "Oh, you're so smart." Or, "Oh, you're so smart." What did Miss Miller say?
You're smart.
You're smart. You see how the what doesn't matter. It's the why did she say that? She said it because I answered out of turn. How did she say it? She said it in a sarcastic manner. She wasn't being serious. It is far more important that you can analyze the how it was said and the why was it said than the what was it said. Because if you went to complain to my boss or your mother, one moment, let me close the door. Just think about how that sounds. I want to check out of Miss Miller's class. Why? Because she's mean. Well, what'd she do or say that was mean? She told me I was smart. You sound absolutely insane, right? Like, you sound absolutely insane. You need to describe the how Miss Miller said you were smart and why she said you were smart, not the what. The what never matters. Summary is for children. We're past that, okay? So, how do we get to the how? Tone, mood, diction, and syntax. I started with tone and mood because these two we've gone over already. So these two are simple. Diction and syntax you should have already learned, but I'm going to go into them a bit more in depth, okay? Coolness. Diction is word choice. Diction is the words we choose to use. Okay? At the heart of any discussion about style, word choice, figurative language, it is not your grammar usage, your punctuation, and all that. We'll get to that later. That's syntax. Diction is about what word you choose to use. Did you call her cute? Did you call her pretty? Did you call her beautiful? Did you call her gorgeous? Gentlemen, if you are attempting to date someone and you call them cute, you will not be dating them long. If you call them gorgeous, they might marry you, because most girls aren't called gorgeous often. Okay? It is about word choice. You might think they're synonyms. One will get you a girlfriend. The other one will get you blocked. Monkeys are cute. Always remember that. Monkeys are cute. If a dude's ever like, oh, you cute? Yeah, so are monkeys. That doesn't really do it for me. But is a dude ever going to call a monkey gorgeous? Don't answer that. All right. So, we've been over these, tone and mood. Just going to do a brief overview. Remember, tone is how the speaker feels about the topic. Tone is how the speaker feels about the topic. Mood is how the speaker wants the audience to feel about the topic. Tone is the speaker. Mood is the audience. Okay? Simple examples just to jog your memory. If your mom is upset with you, she may have a tone of disappointment, but she wants you to have the mood of shame. Okay? She doesn't want to say, I'm so disappointed in you. Well, I'm disappointed in you. That's not how that conversation goes. Okay? She says, I'm disappointed. You say, I'm sorry. You keep your teeth. Okay? If two people are in a relationship, one cheats on the other, person A is angry, and they want person B, the cheater, to feel remorseful. They don't want to say, I can't believe you cheated on me. Well, I can't believe you wore that skirt last week. No, that's not how that argument goes. I can't believe you cheated on me. I'm so sorry, it'll never happen again. Or, find another significant other. So that's tone and mood. We should be doing tone and mood like in our soapstones every day. So, what is important are these titles: fine, formal, informal, and slang. What is unimportant, or not unimportant, but needs to be your own, is the definitions therein. These are my definitions, but you need to find a way to write definitions for those that you understand. That makes sense? Please don't copy my words. You're not Lexmark. You're not Toshiba. You're not HP. You're not a Xerox. Please don't copy. I got 2 machines over there that do that. And they do it better. Okay? Because they staple. All right. Fine writing. Unnecessarily pretentious or formal. Also, your primary source documents. A lot of your really old documents, your Constitution, Declaration of Independence, Federalist Papers, letters to John Adams, am I ringing any bells? Hint, hint, are written in fine writing, okay? Several of our primary source documents, especially from the conception of the United States, are written in fine writing, okay? You should not live in fine writing. You should be able to read it. You should be able to recognize it. You ain't got to write there, okay? It's not 1776. If it was, I wouldn't be up here because I wouldn't be literate. Bad slavery joke. Okay. Formal writing. This is where we live, okay? This is where we live. Formal writing is where you live. It's not quite a textbook, but it's not quite conversational. Okay? This is where we get rid of I, me, my, you, your, we, us at first and second person. This is where we depersonalize it. This is where we focus on a lot of ethos and logos, not as much pathos. Formal writing is where we analyze a lot, synthesize a lot. This is where we want to live as writers, okay? This is where we don't use slang. This is where we don't use contractions. Contractions are for speech, not for writing, okay? Yes, I know. It's mind-blowing. It's okay. We'll get there. But yeah, this is where you don't want to use a lot of contractions or start sentences randomly with so, because you feel like that's a good way to start a sentence. So as I was saying earlier, informal. This is where we are now. Conversational, okay? It's common conversation. So it's a conversation you can have with an adult, okay? It's how you would speak to your mother, how you would speak to a teacher, how you would speak to someone in the store. It's not comfortable, but it is speech. Does that make sense? It's polite, everyday speech, which is different from colloquial or slang. This is how you would speak to people within your same peer group, okay? I don't speak to you the same way I speak to my friends. I don't speak to all the teachers here at Santee the same way. Those of which who I am co-workers with, I use informal language. We speak, but it's still informal. Anybody ever see me speak to Miss Melinda? We're all the way down here. All the way down here, okay? When Miss Johnson and I aren't in front of people, we're here. When we're in front of other people in meeting settings, we're here. This is where you speak to your friends. That's where some of y'all speak to your parents. I ain't got nothing to do with that. My mama would slap me silly. That's a whole nother thing. But this is where we generally talk. This is where we generally write. This is where you hang out with your friends. For our advanced people, okay, this chart will be available in the PowerPoint. It just breaks it down even further to sophisticated, formal, informal, colloquial, slang, cliche, and idioms. So this breaks it down even more so and gives examples. I want you to see that I am presenting you with this resource. We don't have to go through it in the lecture, but it's there if you want it, okay? Denotation and connotation. So, denotative meaning. It's the dictionary meaning. Because denotative starts with a, and dictionary starts with a. There we go. Connotative is the common meaning. Because connotative starts with a, and common starts with a. There we go. God, I hope you never forget that. So what does that mean? Easiest word to remember is ignorant. Okay? Denotatively, what does ignorant mean? Okay, right? Okay, let's go connotatively. When someone calls you ignorant, what does it mean? Stupid. Okay? Stupid, classless, maybe ghetto, whatever. Okay? That's connotative. The actual denotative meaning of ignorant is to be without knowledge. So, hi, I'm ignorant of astrophysics, nuclear physics, particle physics. I actually really like theoretical physics, so I probably know more about that than I should. But, like, there's a whole level of physics over there that I'm like, there are letters and you put plus signs in between them. That's not how letters work. That's how I feel about physics, okay? I am completely ignorant of physics, and I am okay with that. Ignorance isn't a bad thing. It just means you don't know. And a smart or wise man knows what he does not know. We are all ignorant. If you were not ignorant, you would not be here, okay? You'd be one of them 12-year-old kids who tests out and does quantum mechanics, in his spare time. You're not. You're here with me. So, there are things that I am ignorant about. When I need to do upper level math, I just go to Mr. Bosley because I go, okay, here's the end of my education. Fill in the gaps, bruh. Okay? So ignorant just means to not know, but when we hear it, we hear something different in the connotation, right? Another good example. What's a kid? Anybody? What's a kid?
Human being.
Wrong. Connotatively, it's a human being. Denotatively, it's a baby goat. Small bears are cubs. Small lions are cubs. Small dogs are puppies. Small cats are kittens. Small goats are kids. A billy goat is a male goat. A nanny goat is a female goat. And a kid is a child goat. That's what that is. Okay? Just like a cub is a small bear and a Bruin is a teenage bear. That's really a thing. Okay? Yeah, that's why there's a Cubs. That's why UCLA is the Bruins, because Cal was the Bears and they were first and we were second, so we were the teenager. That's why we became Bruins. California Bear. It's a thing. Okay, moving on. Anyway, so when you're reading, you need to realize if an author is using a word denotatively or connotatively. Are they using the common definition as it's seen by everyone else? For example, if I were to say, we'll have a gay old time. It's a line from the Flintstones theme song. Okay? All it means is we'll have a happy time. Because denotatively, that's what gay means. In 2018, the denotation of gay has taken on a different word because of a connotation that was created. It generally refers to a male homosexual. Sometimes, less commonly, it refers to female homosexuals and or bisexuals, which is all the same fine, but that wasn't the original meaning of the word. It's now taken on a new meaning, which is amazing and great in the evolution of language. But if you hear something and it comes from 1974 or 1964, like the Flintstones theme song, they're not saying we'll have a Barney and Fred are going to start kissing time. They're not saying that we're going to switch partners, because the connotation of gay has changed over time. And that's how language is, and it's amazing, and it's awesome, and it's more inclusive. But when you hear something, you have to think of the connotation when it was written. Does that make sense? Y'all listening to the Flintstones like, what's happening here? Okay. Concrete and abstract. You also want to pay attention to if an author is operating in the concrete or the author is operating in the abstract. Okay? Concrete. You can see it, taste it, touch it, physically feel it. Abstract. That's feelings. So things that you know exist, but you can't actually touch it. Ugly, pretty, or as we were speaking of earlier, cute, pretty, beautiful, gorgeous. You can't touch it, but you know there's a difference. You know it exists. Yeah. Oh, okay. Irony, figurative language, and figures of speech and idioms. These are things that you should have learned in 9th and 10th grade. And figures of speech actually goes back to middle school. As such, I will be doing a series next week on figurative language, irony, idioms, slang, and colloquialism. That will be my lunchtime sessions. I will be teaching at lunch, full-on teaching at lunch every day. I'm going to give you a schedule. If you do not understand irony, then you need to come in on that day. If you do not understand figurative language, you need to come in on that day, and so on and so forth. Okay? There will be 4 lunchtime sessions all next week, each on a different topic about figures of speech. Those are going to be 2 days because there are a lot of figures of speech. Irony, and cliches and idioms, okay? I will be teaching those at lunch because those are standards that we should have learned already, and it's unfair to the people who had a teacher who taught it and they learned it to have to sit in an AP class and learn 7th grade English, okay? But it's also unfair to those of you who didn't learn it through no fault of your own to leave you in the dark. So as a compromise, I will just be giving tutoring for that. Make sense? Oh, I was where I need to be. Am I still going back? Wow. Okay. Syntax. Syntax defines style through a variety of sentences. I love syntax. It's like my favorite. Okay. So, what is syntax? Syntax is how the sentences are written and what types of sentences are used. How the sentences are written and what types of sentences are used. For example, we know, I think, 5 types of sentences. I've taught you 5. What are they? Anybody? Compound. Complex. Yep. Periodic and simple. Run-on's not a type of sentence. It's a type of error. But periodic and simple. We have 10 types of sentences we're going to learn. I'm going to teach you to identify all of them. But you already know 5. Identifying syntax is being able to read something and go, he used a simple sentence, simple, 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 compound, complex, compound, complex, compound, complex. I think that one's a run-on. Periodic, periodic, complex. You should be able to identify the types of sentences. This is important. Syntax is the paper without the words. The words do not matter. The words do not matter. In syntax, the type of sentence, the punctuation, and the part of speech are all that matters. The type of sentence, the punctuation, and the part of speech are all that matters. Okay? So, for example, if you were to read and you're reading for syntax, you'd see, although, blah, 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 comma, blah, 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 period. What type of sentence is that? Anybody? Although, blah, 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 comma, blah, 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 period. Complex. Now, if it's because, blah, 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 comma, but, blah, 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 period. Compound, complex. We see? The words don't matter. All it matters is that you went, that's subjunctive, and that's coordinating conjunction, and that's a period, and there are some commas in there, compound, complex. That's all that matters in syntax. The part of speech, the punctuation, and the type of sentence. Not what the sentence says. Yeah, we've been through that. Look at me. I taught all this already. Last time I didn't teach it. I have to teach that. Okay. That's what we're teaching next week. Good. Okay, just some sentence types. Declarative, interrogative, exclamatory, and imperative. Those will be in my session for next week because those are the 4 basic types of sentences that you should learn. So I'm going to skip over that. Those are 4 basic types of sentences. Things that end in periods, things that end in question marks, things that end in exclamation mark. Like that we should have learned when we learned those. If you didn't, it's fine. I'm teaching it next week. I have to send out the schedule. I'll send out via Remind. So each day will be something different. Inverted sentence. It's like a baby periodic sentence. Okay? It's where you take the end and flip it, put the predicate first, put the subject second. It's a periodic sentence, essentially just smaller, without the several clauses. We're going to do more of that in January. It'll be fine. Juxtaposition, don't even worry about it. We're going to do it in January. Repetition, don't even worry about it. We're going to do it in January. Rhetorical question. This one we should know, okay? A rhetorical question is a question that you ask in a paper that either you don't intend to answer or you don't need to be answered, you provide the answer for it, or the answer is evident. Again, a rhetorical question is a question you either don't want answered, you provide the answer for it, or you make the answer evident throughout your paper. So, if we start our essays with a question, it's a rhetorical question. You don't need an answer, okay? If we end with our conclusion and there's a question there, maybe you made that evident throughout your paper. So should we really have sponsorships for schools? Well, shoot, your paper should have answered that. That was the question I gave you, okay? Those of us with really good parents are very familiar with rhetorical questions, okay? Did I ask you to go there? Did I tell you to go there? Who told you you could go there? Who were you with? Why was you with them? Was that a good idea? Really, what were you thinking? I'm 7 questions in. Should I answer or not? Those are all rhetorical questions. Your parent does not intend for you to answer them, and if you do, and you grew up in my house, you would end up horizontal. No matter how vertical you were, you would get up and go, it's Tuesday. I went to sleep on a Wednesday. How long has it been? So, those are rhetorical questions. Questions you don't actually want answered. Parallel structure, don't worry about that. We'll do it in December. And punctuation, we are going to do it as we learn sentence types. Okay? Click down. Oh, I'm done. Yay.